Hi, my name's Sydney, and this week is Halloween. Halloween is the height of horror films, and instead of reviewing horror films that I've watched, I'm actually going to talk about two movies that so far I kind of refuse to watch, actually. So before I say the movies that they are, I'm curious if you can kind of guess them. They're pretty famous within the horror movie particular genre, but particularly in the disturbing category. For myself, particularly disturbing imagery within horror sometimes can stick with me psychologically in a way that I don't necessarily want it to. So I prefer subgenres that lean to be more psychological typically, as opposed to visually leaning on graphic stuff, especially if there's not a lot of plot. So watching something that's purely traumatic, that doesn't really serve me intellectually or emotionally, isn't for me right now, you know? I think that horror typically should evoke something thought-provoking, even if the thought-provoking is just like, I'm enjoying this. This is a fun time. Like, that is good enough on its own. But not all movies are going to do that for me. I just don't want like the misery and dread to linger in a way that's unproductive to my life. You know what I'm saying? So the first film that I have so far refused to watch is Martyrs. Martyrs is a 2008 French film. You might know it already. You might have seen it already, and you're like, she won't watch that. Psh. And this film, I think, actually does hold a lot of symbolic meaning. And I don't think that it is just relying on the brutality within the film. I think it's probably just as emotionally upsetting as it is violently upsetting. I've read the plot on Wikipedia. I've heard a good amount of other people to do their, like, I just watched Martyrs, here are my thoughts sort of videos. And I actually am deeply interested in the plot. I think the message of the ending is very attractive to me, as far as like, oh my gosh, I mean, I'm like, is this spoiler free? I don't know. Cause like, I haven't even seen it, but I know the things, you know what I mean? But like the ending, I'll leave it spoiler free. The ending, I'm like, ooh, like what? You know what I mean? If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. I'm like, what? Yeah, I am. There's a whole world built out within this film that I'm very curious about, actually. But I just know for myself, I don't think I'm in a headspace where this is the movie for me right now. Maybe in the future. I respect the art of it. I respect the plot of it. But right now, I'm respecting my mental health, that I don't want to feel that dark and heavy right now. Or the past few years. But maybe in the future. The second film on my I refuse to watch this list is Salo, or 120 Days of Sodom, which maybe you saw that coming too. I don't know. Or it's in my thumbnail. We'll see what I do. Again, this is a film that is just not just, well, you know, some people argue this actually, but as it's supposed to be. It's not just a exploitative, violent film for the sake of violence. According to the filmmaker, it does have a really, I mean, and I from what I know about it, I think it does. It has a deep political commentary. There's obviously a lot of messages of classism and other deep layers of that onion, which has been done before. I don't think conceptually that's super new. Even though this film's old, like conceptually that's not, you know, that's been explored before. And honestly, I don't know, compared to Martyrs, I don't know if the message of authoritarianism degrading humanity, I don't know if that is like a message I'm not interested in exploring on a personal level, to submit myself to just watching cruelty. Whereas concepts of death and dying and the mystery of the afterlife that Martyrs leans more towards is something that's more interesting to me. So on a basic level, I just, outweighing the pros and cons, I don't know that I want to like subject myself to sitting to watching that whole film. And the funny thing is I've read the plot. I've seen little clips of it online over the years. I think I've also seen people react to it, but not in a long time. And there's that famous Bill Hader, is it his Criterion closet? I think it's from that, where he's like,
oh, this is the best date movie on earth. This is a great date movie. And my favorite part of this movie is when And then the guy, he goes into a room and he finds this plate of
that might have been the first time I heard about it, actually. There's also someone uploaded the whole movie to YouTube, but it's in about 5 times speed or something like that. It's like blah, 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 blah. And so you get the idea of the movie without having to actually like sit through it. And I think a few years ago I watched that too, because I was like, I'm curious, but I don't actually want to sit and watch this kind of vibe. Yeah, and it sucks on like a it's just like, it's horrible. But I haven't, not having watched it, I can't analyze it on a filmmaking level to go like, wow, this is a really well-made film. Anything like that. Maybe some people do believe that it is in the Criterion Collection. So I think it might be looked at as a well-made film, and that's great. I think the message in itself is probably very justified. Is the depiction worth sitting through it to get that message at the end? I don't know, So for me, right now, it's going to be a pass. I am not an anti-extreme horror person. I actually think disturbing films are super interesting. But I do think, for myself, intent matters. What's the purpose of showing either this violence or this cruelty or graphicness? What is the context of the film kind of tied into the intent? Of what's the context of the time that the film was made, of the filmmaker, of the culture that the film is coming from. That stuff I think is important. And then also I think timing matters. Like where I'm at in my life that I want to consume content that might be upsetting, I want to make sure that I'm in a place that's solid. You know what I'm saying? But I do appreciate artistic ambition, social commentary, the icky and the yucky that people are able to make that is so pure, and it's making like people just throw together all these like plastics and goops and gops and it freaks people out sitting at home. Like, I don't know, the purity of that is like so amazing that filmmakers can do something fake and create such a real response from their audience. So like I love and respect that, but I got limits, you know what I'm saying? I don't think all horror is healthy for the mind and soul, and that's going to be different for each individual. And I don't think you have to suffer through a movie to respect what it is. And that's where I sit. Have you seen either of these films? What were your thoughts? Were they a piece of cake, or are you like, oh yeah, they kind of stuck with me? And maybe I wish I didn't watch it, or I'm glad I watched it, but whatever. Are there other films that you personally refuse to watch because it's just not for you or not the right timing? A huge question that I'm not going to get into today is, should there be limits to disturbing content made? That leans into censorship, which I don't think there should be. But, that's a deep question that I'm not going to get into right now. Moving forward into reviews and reactions, I do hope to watch films that challenge me. And someone that I respect who does that a lot is Spooky Astronauts. She is the disturbing movie queen, and she often recommends movies and will give a little hint of what the plot is that I actually am super interested in. I'm starting to be active again on Letterboxd, so I'm kind of keeping track of a few movies that I'd like to watch. I'm on there as Scared Pale if you're interested. Yeah, so stay tuned for maybe some of those coming. I hope all of you have a happy, safe, fun Halloween. Let me know if you're dressing up, what you're going to dress up as well, because I love costumes. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.